Want to give God the glory. Again, another great opportunity that God has given us today to glorify Him. And I first want to continue to talk about our military, all the things that they have done. I want to say thanks for all that they have done as far as being able to serve our country and give us the opportunity to do what we do here in the United States of America. And our prayers continue, hopefully, for everybody to continue to pray for all of our service men and women all across this world for their protection and also their families that are here in the U.S. and throughout the world as we appreciate all the things that they're doing to allow us to do what we do today. About the last ball game, I was very proud of the way that our team finished the game. Really, I'm proud of all phases. When I say all phases, I'm talking about the offense, the defense, and the special teams there in the fourth quarter. Everybody made plays. Again, there's been some games in the fourth quarter where there's maybe been one certain phase of the game that we have not finished the game in a great way. So I was very, very pleased to see us play great in all those phases. Then just kind of what I talked to the team about as we came in here on Sunday and talked about the opportunity that we look forward to as we play these next two ball games. And the opportunity that we have is, as we finish up these two games, is I think in Liberty football history, I think also maybe in history, particularly here in the 2015 season, that we'll have an opportunity to beat 3 top 10 teams in the country. And also to say that to beat 3 top 10 teams, you also have won a game against an FBS opponent. And, again, I can't sit here and say that's truly all facts. I can say that it is in Liberty football history if we're able to finish up like we should finish up this season, to be able to have that on our record. So that's the things that we have going for us for the next 2 ball games that we can control. And then after that, we'll see what happens. Charleston Southern, congratulations to them on winning the automatic bid to the playoffs. Jamie Chadwell has done a fantastic job. He and his staff, the players, in the 3 years he's been in the league, I've seen them tremendously improve in every phase. I think this year that's put them over the hump is their defense. They're number 1 in the country, as you have read the stats and all those type of things there. So, again, congratulations to them. Offensively, I think they're really good in their running backs. They got 2 or 3 guys that they use. They're a little bit different backs. Some they're a little bit fast, some quick. One's a little bit bigger than the others and all that, but they are very, very productive. I think all 3 of them average at least 6 yards per carry. That's outstanding when you're able to do that. Their quarterback, they play 2 guys there, Copeland and Brown. Brown's the more athletic guy that runs the ball fairly well, runs their offense in precision. So they do have a very, very good offensive side of the ball. Touching base against some of their defense, as I mentioned earlier, they're a top defense in the country. I think the biggest thing that they do have improved on is the front 7. I think they have done a good job there. They rotate quite a few guys in the front 7. They're very active. They're very strong. And they are very disciplined in what they need to do and how they need to do it. And I think that's why they're playing a fantastic defensive side of the ball. Also on the defense side, they play multiple fronts. They play odd. They mainly have a 3-4 front, but they do get down into a 4 down, and they do all different things in coverages. They don't blitz a whole lot, but when they do blitz, they are very productive when they do. Injured, Will Johnson is out, lower body. Nolan Spicer is probable. Cameron Jones is out, lower body. Bo Swanson is out for upper body. Keys to the game. There's no question about it. We got to be able to average 4 yards per carry. Hopefully we have a better per carry on the rushing than they do. I think if that happens, I think it'll be more advantageous for us. I think we must have more 20 yards plays as far as on offense or defense. Again, their offensive side of the ball, we got to prevent them from having explosive plays of over 20 yards. And we need to have more than 20 yards of explosive plays on our side of the ball. If we do that, I think we have a greater chance. And the last thing is, as always, win the turnover margin. I think when we have done that, we won the football game as we played this football season. So any questions?
Coach Gill, first of all, I do appreciate your time this afternoon. And, before these this two-game winning streak, had that losing streak. But what do you feel the team has done differently to start this two-game winning streak?
Well, I think it's two things. One is the coaching staff and our players have changed a few little different things that we've done in practices, emphasized a lot more things here as far as their eyes. We had some of our coaches position themselves in different ways to making sure that we could see where our players' eyes were going as they were doing plays offensively and defensively. And then also just some personnel. We made one or two little changes there as far as with a couple of linebackers in different spots. We did different things we're doing there. A little bit in the secondary there. We had guys play a little bit more, a little less substitution. Then I think offensively side of the ball there, again, we're still trying to find a little more consistency. We haven't been consistently running the football. A little bit has been offensive line, a little bit has been our tight end. It's been the backs as far as their vision, as far as where they need to hit the holes. So I think we came a little bit more fine-tuned on things when that bye week, and I think that has improved for the most part.
Coach, special teams-wise, Mike Holloway is one of the more dynamic returners in the Big South. What ways do you try to limit what he's able to do in being able to switch field positions with his ability to find seams and pick up yardage?
Well, I think one good thing is to making sure we don't kick it to him. I'm not going to sit here and say that we're totally not going to do that, but if we do kick the ball to him, we need to place it in the right location. On kickoff returns, the ball needs to be toward the numbers. Same thing if we got a punt. We need to have the ball toward the numbers, the bottom of the numbers toward the sideline, so therefore there's less room for our guys to cover, give him really one or two areas where he has to run the football after he catches on a punt return or kickoff return. So I think we just have to stay disciplined in that area.
Coach, Liberty has had really good success against Charleston Southern in recent history. Why do you think that is, and how big of a win would it be if you can knock them off this Saturday?
Well, I think we have played well against them in the 3 or 4 years I've been here. I think they've definitely have done a better job here in the last 3 or 4 years as far as I think one is talent. I think two is the coaching staff and the scheme that they're doing offensively. But I think the reason why we got to have good success is that we got to come out and play well early. I think we got to tackle well and we got to run the football.
Explosive plays on offense. Who are a couple playmakers over there that you're really concerned about when you watch the tape?
Well, I think Hammond, he's one guy that probably, he's probably about I can't know how big it is now, but it's going by the stats, about 190, 95 pounds, 6'1" guy, has good size, has good speed. I think he has a strong runner. He can break tackles. And I think he's a guy that can make plays for him. He's shown that and he's done that. Not only just running the football, but also receiving and catching the football there. And obviously, I said early on the punt returns. Pereira, the receiver, is another big play guy that they have. He's their go-to guy if they're going to throw the football for the most part. And, again, they're very productive in their scheme, and they get people in the open field, and they make plays when the opportunity presents itself.
Coach, on defense, you obviously talked about how they're #1 ranked defense in the country. What is it specifically that they do to be so successful?
Well, I think the one thing they do, they got a lot of different schemes from a fronts. They do move people around. They show different looks and sometimes confuses some of the offensive people. And then also I think they got good depth at the defensive line. They rotate quite a few guys in there. So I think, therefore, when they are able to come in, everybody plays well. You don't see them get too fatigued at all. I think the other reason is that their offense stays on the field quite a bit, and they don't play as many snaps. I think that's a lot of times that's go unnoticed. Sometimes when you have a great defense, you start to count how many reps that they get in a game, and they're averaging somewhere in the 50s versus having 80 snaps their defense has been able to take. So all that combined, I think, gives it an opportunity is why they have been successful.
You alluded to the fact they don't blitz a lot, but they get to the quarterback a lot. I mean, they got 2 of the top 3 players in sacks in the league. I mean, does that kind of tie into what you were just saying about them having a lot of depth there? Yeah,
a lot of depth, and they're able to play hard and fast, and they don't get fatigued, and they got some talent. Definitely the first thing is probably there is some talented guys. that they're able to do some good things there from that standpoint when they only rush 4 people. You know, sometimes they do go 5, but they don't come with 6 or 7, if not very often at all, because I think they do have a good secondary too. I'm not saying they don't have a good secondary. They do have a good secondary, but I think their front 7 really has done a fantastic job of calling pressure.
Coach, each week you have internally players of the game. Where did Trey Turner fall in that mix?
Yeah, Trey Turner had a very, very good week. We ended up going with Damon King from the special teams side of it. He's always had some good touches, and whenever something happens with him, he's been an explosive player as far as when we've had him in the ball game. But Trey Turner had a very, very solid. He was right there the next in line as far as coaches has voted him possibly the special teams player of the week. So he's been very solid. He's got to keep on having him do the great things too.
Coach, they rushed for 359 yards, I believe, last year when they were up here and beat Liberty. You know, top rushing offense in the conference this year. What do you try to do to slow them down some?
Well, we got to get penetration. You know, they got a lot of different schemes on offense that they do. They do a very good job attacking different ways on the edge, meaning that they have different people blocking the defensive end. Sometimes they don't block the defensive end. Sometimes they have the tackle block them. Sometimes they have the guard block them. Sometimes they have the center block them. Sometimes they have the fullback block them. They have the receiver block them. So all different people are blocking the defensive end, and so that causes some hesitation sometimes on the defensive end. That's why you see sometimes they get the edge. And again, it ain't always just because they run the option. There's some other plays that they run too. So they got a good scheme. They do a lot of good things, but we got to make sure that we don't allow them to have those explosive plays. If that minimizes those things, I think we'll be very successful.
Talk about the option principles that they have on offense. Is there anyone that you compare them to that you've seen in your tenure?
They kind of remind me a little bit about myself playing and a little bit of Nebraska of running the option game. They run all the different schemes, and we use the term a G option, meaning they pull the front side guard, and sometimes they hand it to the running back. Sometimes they pull it and they go around the edge, and they go do the play action passes. So they got all the different schemes. They run their basic run plays too, not just the option. And so a little bit of what Nebraska was doing back in as far as when I was playing and also coaching, they run those similar type of schemes.
Back to Saturday's game, was there any consideration to let Lunsford go out there for the 66-yarder after the 5-yard delay of game penalty when you wanted to?
No. I was 60, going to do it, but anything over that, decided I was not going to do it. And that's why you saw what happened. I ended up pulling them off and put our offense back on the field.
Personnel changes on the defensive side last week. It looks like some of that's kind of gone back to what it was before now for this week. Was that more just about the opponent last week? I mean, with Chris Turner getting bumped for Wesley Scott and then a couple other little changes you had?
It kind of went to practice. People had some better practices, so we tried to make that starting change. I mean, Chris Turner was available and he played and all that, so it was just a little bit more of a better practices by certain people. And then obviously in the front, Spicer was out, so that's why we had that adjustment there with Cook and all those things. So everybody's back to healthy, and again, things could happen at the end of the week too, but that's where we starting out here at the beginning of the week.
Coach, you talk about each game being an opportunity. With 2 top 10 ranked teams coming up, that's the best opportunity this team could have.
Can't draw it up any better. All you do is give the glory to God. God planned this to happen in this way, and great opportunities to finish the season in a great way. Like I said, I don't know if it's historically anybody in the FCS, at this point in time, as far as at the end of the season, can state, if we take care of business as far as these 2 games, to say they've beaten 3 top 10 teams in the country. I think that's a fantastic thing to do and have an accomplishment in a football season.
Close one this past week. We didn't start as well as we wanted to as far as offense goes. Definitely didn't have a very good half, but in the second half, in the fourth quarter mainly, when we needed to, we got points, got 2 touchdowns in the last 5 minutes. Defense played lights out all game. They kept us in the game, that's for sure. Personally, couldn't seem to get things going, and then later in the game started getting a little better flow, and then obviously we started to get those last 2 touchdowns at the end of the game. But it was an awesome win for us. Got 2 more really good opponents coming up, so we're excited about this next game.
What does Charleston Southern do defensively that makes you want to stay in the film room and try to evaluate where you maybe can be able to pick them apart a bit?
They're just a solid team. They all do their assignment. You don't see many blown coverages or blown assignments from them. They're just, they really buy into what Coach Chadwell is trying to do down there, and they all play with a lot of energy. They swarm to the ball, and I think that's why they're, the #1 defense in the country right now as far as FCS goes.
Josh, I appreciate your time this afternoon. I got to ask you, and Coach Gill talked about this, you guys have a big opportunity. These 2 games could make some history for Liberty. Just your feelings on these 2 games coming up and the potential, you could pull out those wins. It's pretty big.
Yeah, we play really well in November since Coach Gill's been here, so we're excited to get down there and play Charleston Southern. I know this is the highest they've ever been ranked. I think they're number 8 in the FCS poll right now, so this will be a huge win for us if we can go down there and win, and especially, still talking about the playoffs, if we can get these next 2 wins. They're going to be over ranked opponents. Obviously, that'll be huge going into the postseason, but right now we're just focused on Charleston Southern. They're a great team, got a great defense, got a good offense, hard to stop them, so defense and offense have to be, ready to play this week.
You guys have played really well at Charleston Southern in recent years. Why do you think that is? What is it about playing in that stadium that maybe you enjoy?
Mostly, I think it's because for the past couple of times, it's been for the Big South title, really. There's been playoff implications, winning the Big South. So we've just come down there focused and really executed really well. So we're excited to get down there, play them. They're a great team. We're excited for the challenge, and we're going to have a good week of practice to be sharp on Saturday.
There in the fourth quarter, Gill alluded to this Saturday. You guys went to Peterson a lot. Basically same play, just different variations. How has that relationship with you and him evolved from where you were last year doing Monday workouts together to where you are now?
Oh, it's good. He's the best receiver on the team. So, when they're leaving him in single coverage at the end of the game, I'm going to go to him. And, he made plays when we needed him to. And at the end of the game, came in real clutch for me.
Talk about the opportunity coming up with these 2 opponents. Do you feel like that the way that the season's gone with the ebbs and flows, that things are kind of lining up for you guys a little bit now?
Absolutely. Especially after the Gardner-Webb game and then really after the Monmouth game, we just kept talking about, we got to turn this season around. Stop looking at all the negatives that we've had in the season and just turn around and play like we know we can. So we're excited to, go down there, and these next 2 weeks we're going to have, probably top 10 teams that we're going to be playing. So we're really excited for the challenge, and hopefully that'll give us, some good national exposure as far as the playoffs come. If we can get these 2 wins, then they'll be like, okay, well, they have 4 ranked wins, and then or 3 ranked wins, and then an FBS win too. So we're really excited about it, and we're just excited that our season's finally turning around for us. We couldn't figure out what was going on in those first 2 conference games, and now finally I think we got a little bit of our swag, a little bit of our confidence going back into conference.
I guess also with their defense, they don't blitz a ton, but what do they do to get to the quarterback? Because it seems like they do it quite a bit.
Oh, they just have great scheme, and they got 2 great defensive ends. So whenever you put those guys one-on-one, they're going to have to make plays for them. So they've been doing that all year against opponents. So Coach Chadwell will have them ready to go this week, I know for a fact. So we're going to have to come ready with a great game plan and just great execution on Saturday.
Can you talk about Todd Macon and just the way he's come on, especially when you needed him down the stretch here?
Yeah, Todd's a great player. Ever since he came on 3 years ago or 2 years ago, really, and then he played a lot last year as a redshirt freshman, we knew that he had a lot of raw talent as far as reading defenses and hitting the hole, and he's probably the toughest runner on the team too, as far as following his guard and be able to put his head down. So I know for a long period of the season he's been a short yardage back, and he also has some explosiveness. You see I know he had a 40-yard run last week, and then I think he had a 30-yard run this week. So he's also got the speed to get around the edge and be able to make some plays like that. So he's just become a really good back for us, especially with DJ going down. We needed him to step up, and he's done that so far.
From Saturday, it took you guys a little while to get going. Was there a point on the sideline that you can remember where a kind of sense of urgency set in, where it's like, our season's hanging in the balance, we got to go do something? kind of a thing?
Not so much, honestly. There had been other games, particularly I can remember the Gardner-Webb game where, we were standing on the sideline. We were like, what's going on? What's going on? Like, what's going to happen? Stuff like that. So throughout the course of this game, I got the feeling from our team that we were just like, all right, it's going to hit. It's going to hit. It's going to hit sometime. Is it going to be this play? Is it going to be this play? Sometime it's going to hit, and we're going to be fine. So there wasn't any panic on the sideline or anything. Not really a sense of urgency. There was just kind of a confidence in our game plan, really, because we knew it was going to hit and something was going to happen. I couldn't really get on a rhythm Saturday. I didn't play very well, and we couldn't run the ball very well, so that kind of made a bad first half for us. But once I was able to get a little more comfortable in there, we were able to run the ball a little better. That's when you started seeing us, have some production. So there wasn't any panic or anything. I think we were all just, confident in what we were doing, and eventually we knew it was going to hit and we were going to have a big play.